guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually going to be John reviewing a few books for you guys. So without any further ado, I guess I will just leave him to it.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens. Just a heads up, next season's coming up. So it's been a while since I've done one of these, practically almost a year ago, I think. Last time I did a book reviews on The Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan and The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. This time, I think I'll just catch you guys up on what I read last year, and then maybe if I get to do another video soon, I'll fill you guys in on what I'm reading now, and my thoughts on them. So anyways, here goes. Yeah, starting off, I'm only going to do like 3 actual reviews. 2 of them I was told I have to be careful with because they're sequels. Don't want to be spoilery. I don't know. But I'll go over kind of briefly about some of the other books I've read. Granted, warning, I am a slow reader and a mood reader for that fact. My mood changes from watching TV shows to playing video games to reading a book, and it can come and go whenever. So my list might not seem impressive. I think I'm getting better this year. Preface this. When I was a kid, I was about, I think, 11 years old when I found this book. It's called Among the Hidden by Margaret Peterson Haddix. It's a whole series. I think there's 7 books. And it's a young children's novel. And I remember I loved it so much. I got through the first 3, and then I left that school and therefore left that library, and also kind of fell out of reading a little bit then. So I never went back to finish the series, and I can't even remember how I found or what made me think of this series or like how I found it again, but I had to get it. That's all I know. So I bought the full box set of all 7 books and just wanted to finally finish out the series, something I've never done in a long time. So it is, I think it's called the Shadow Children series, and just a quick synopsis of it. It's a story of a alternate world where food and resources have become scarce in the world, so the United States has turned into more of a military dictatorship from a coup. Don't read into too much into this. And they have essentially banned shadow children. It's about this boy, and well, initially starts with this boy, and then he finds others, third children who have somehow lived after birth and have been hiding away from society. Because if they get found, their families can get punished or killed, and of course they will be killed. Sounds a little dark and gruesome. Perfect for me as a kid. I was especially 11-year-old, angsty, getting ready to go into my angsty teen years. I thought it was actually a really well written out series. A couple of the books, it kind of fell flat a little bit towards the end, but the last book definitely ended really well. I recommend reading it if you're interested in children's books. Like I said, it's about middle school level, or if you got kids who you don't mind like exposing them a little bit to that kind of material. I was told that it is called middle grade level. I thought it was pretty good dystopian type of book series. I don't know what it was with my childhood last year, but I also decided to go back and reread the Aragon Inheritance series. Read that a lot as a kid, reread it I don't know how many times. The movie was god awful. Please don't watch it. Really hope Disney Plus picks it up, only because they might do it justice. If you haven't read it, definitely recommend it. If you don't know about it, it's kind of like you're living under a rock, so I don't know what else to say. No, but seriously, great book, great series, very nostalgic for me. Unlike my wife, I actually read some non-fiction books occasionally. I'm a whiskey guy, and especially after moving to Kentucky, I am a bourbon guy now. And so I was recommended this book by a close friend of mine. It's called Bourbon Curious, a simple tasting guide for the savvy drinker. And it pretty much just goes into the history of bourbon and what separates it from other whiskeys and different laws and regulations, what makes bourbon. So, and then I think it also included a bunch of cool mixed drinks and different types of brands and bottles to try, which I might be hunting down right now. If you're a bourbon drinker, I would recommend this. If not, moving on. I was recommended by a friend at work. She's a huge Dave Ramsey fan, and so she lent me the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It's just a financial thing, and as an accountant and director of finance, I found some interest in it. Other than that, I'm just gonna move on. I have personal opinions about that book, but anyways, moving on. Another nostalgic thing I went back to, but I didn't read the whole series. I could probably quote a lot of it since I read it so much, but I also decided to dig back into Harry Potter a little bit, but I only read the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Real quick, wasn't a fan. Storyline I thought could have been really good, but had a lot of plot holes. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Just wasn't a fan and did not hit the spot nostalgic wise. Next book, I'm a Yankee fan, diehard Yankee fan, born and raised, not a bandwagoner. Found a Yankees stat book of like obscure records and data information. Read that, whatever. Found it at a yard sale, I think. Moving on. Finally, around Christmas time, one of my favorite books, movies of all time is A Christmas Carol, and I was feeling very festive, I guess, and so I decided to read A Christmas Carol. So, the original by Charles Dickens. So, fantastic book. Never gets old. Now on to the last books, the ones I will be reviewing. First off, we'll start with the two sequels. So the first one is a sequel to one of the books I read before and reviewed before, The Call of the Bone Ships. This is book 2 of the R.J. Barker series, the Tide Child trilogy. If you don't remember what the first book was about, my wife will put a link somewhere here, something about her last video. Got the thumbs up, she'll put it there, if it's not already there. It is good. So I had given it, on Goodreads, a 4-star review. And in hindsight, now thinking back to it, honestly, if I reread this, I probably would drop it to a 3. I think I was super excited about it because I was just fascinated with the first one, and I was kind of hoping they'd go into more detail like sometimes the sequels do. But in this case, it didn't quite go into enough. It had a very good adventure story, continuation on from the first book, starring Captain Meese and John Twiner and the Ship of the Tide Child. Very, very good book as far as plot line and everything, story and atmosphere. What I think it was still missing in general, though, was a better explanation of the magic system in it, because there is a little bit of a magic system, especially around the Guillerme. I could be butchering this horribly. I feel like just providing more of a past history of the creatures and like why they are how they are and whatnot. Hopefully that might come in the third book that's already out, but we'll see. I don't know. Also, there were a continuation off the first book. There was quite a few characters that returned, of course, and serving on the Tide Child. And honestly, a lot of them were really intriguing, and I felt like R.J. Barker could have just dove a little bit more into their character depth and provided maybe a little bit more of a backstory for them. I just would like to know more about why they are and who they are and how they got onto the Tide Child, for that matter, because I don't even think they really mentioned that. And why I say that, in case I didn't mention it in the first book, the Tide Child's like a banished ship, a ship for the banished, a book of the dead, or ship of the dead. Technically, they're considered dead by the rest of society as they serve their sentence till death, essentially. So still would recommend reading this book regardless, especially if you've read the first one. It is still very well written. The prose is very good. I enjoyed it very much. Like I said, it's just really the magic system and the lacking of the explanation of the magic system, and a lack of character depth from the side characters. There seems to be plenty, mainly around John Twiner, and a little bit more about Lucky Meese, but not so much the rest. And not so much about the Guillerme, which are so incredibly, I think the idea of them is really brilliant, but I'd like to know more about them. That's The Call of the Bone Ships. The second, if you haven't guessed it already, if you don't know the series, the second book of the memoirs of Lady Trent, The Tropic of Serpents by Marie Brennan. Continues on the adventure of Miss Lady Trent, Isabella. Okay, so the second book, I also gave a 4-star, but it was a very soft 4-star, and I probably would keep it if I were to reread this book again. So after adventures in Vestrana, she heads to a continent called Iriga, or and specifically a location in the continent called the Green Hell. what it sounds like is it sounds like a little bit of Africa and the deep jungle, like the Congo jungle. So that's pretty much the type of world I kind of imagined in this. I mean, it is a war-torn continent in the book as well. Anyway, so she's there to study another type of dragon, clearly. The reason why I had given this a soft 4-star review is because, again, this is a very scientific-driven book, and it kind of plays realistically. This was a trip planned by the society that she's from, and so, of course, going to a war-torn continent, there's a lot of red tape that she has to go through. A lot. Even made worse by the fact that she is a woman in a strongly patriarchal society. There's a lot of political maneuvering going on. And so parts of, like, I felt like almost a third of the book was kind of just sitting around getting frustrated. Ember. That was Ember, not an earthquake. Anyways, felt like a third of the book was her and her crew sitting around trying to, like, especially once they get there, trying to make the can't remember the leader, I don't remember his exact title, comfortable with them and allow them to go to certain places so they can see the dragons of the area. And it just it was a little slower pace than I had liked. However, once they got into it, the story picks up really well. There is just imagine them going through a swamp and her trying to adjust that after having been in a dry, cold climate before, and having to navigate her way through that and without actually inciting a real war, because right now, you know, it's just guerrilla warfare. Spectacular book. Still, I thought it was really good, worth the read. Definitely would recommend it to anybody. The last book, I don't have a very good Goodreads review on this, so here goes. The last book that I finished last year and wanted to talk about was The Priory of the Orange Tree. I don't know if I can't remember if my wife talked about this book before. Okay, she didn't. So I read this last year. I thought it was a really good epic fantasy. I thought it was a very well-written book, had me engaged the entire way through. It was a little slow in the beginning while they were setting up, what do you call it? When they were doing the exposition. It was a little slow in the beginning, but it really picks up in the end. I really don't want to let any spoilers out, but it's essentially about 3 different women who all play a hand, I guess, in destiny. It doesn't really talk about destiny in the book, but I remember that the storyline was, I thought, fantastic. The battle scenes were great. The characters were well written. Like, well, 2 out of the 3 characters were well written, iffy on the third one. And I don't think there was enough focus on the third one or really growth. I'll let you guess which one I'm talking about if you've read the book, mainly because I don't remember the name, but I do remember which part of her story comes into play into this. Anyways, highly would recommend it if you're into epic fantasies. I don't think she's making is she making a sequel? Novella. Anyways, it was really good. It kind of surprised me, and it was kind of just a random pickup by us. I'm just going to end it there because I lost my train of thought. No, but seriously, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Those 3 last books I definitely would recommend. I would recommend almost all of the books I read except for maybe Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. But yeah, I'd like to know you guys' thoughts. I look at my wife's comments all the time, so feel free to comment. I might try and shoot a comment back, or I might just stay hidden and just laugh. I don't know. Anyways, talk to you all later.
Alright guys, so that is it from us today. As usual, I will leave all of the books that he talked about linked in the description box down below. You can also find my affiliate links down there, as well as links to my Goodreads, my Twitter, and my Instagram if you want to follow me on any of those. But other than that, that is it from us today, guys, and we will talk to you in our next video. Bye!